It's day 2 of spring, and we still have a lot of work that needs to get done before we can get our crops into the ground. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Deutz Fahrm. So, first things first, the Lizard BD frame is not here, as you can see. It's actually at the store. Took it there late last night and asked them to load it up with pallets overnight. So that should be ready for us to collect in just a second. Need to open up the gate. Let's open up the shed as well so we can get our AgroStar out. Go and collect our pallets. Once again, it's a miserable start to the day. Lots and lots of rain everywhere, as you can see. There we go. And the kind of plan for today is to do some more ploughing and hopefully a little bit more seeding as well. So let's see. We open up the map. Today we're going to be working on fields 70 and 78. We're going to be removing some trees around the edges here, and we're going to be ploughing these two fields together. And we're also probably going to be working on these two fields down here as well, 77 and 76. But we'll see how that goes once we've got 70 and 78 done. So let's make our way over to the store. It's really sort of overcast, as you can see. Still dark as well. Not expecting the sun to come up for about another half an hour or so. Of course, we've had to wait a little while before we could get going. We couldn't start straight away at 6 o'clock this morning because the store is closed. We need to wait until 7 o'clock for the store to open up so that we can get in and get our trailer with all of our seed and fertilizer that's loaded on it. And on top of that, we also have a vehicle on lease as well waiting for us at the store. We've leased a skid steer with the remote Xylor as well, so that we can remove those trees nice and quickly and efficiently. Hopefully we won't need a chainsaw, but we might pick one of those up at the store while we're here as well. And you can see we are a little bit early. Just got to wait an extra couple of minutes. Are we going to hold up traffic? Hopefully not. Got to keep an eye out, make sure we don't cause a delay in traffic here. But there doesn't seem to be much on the roads at this time of morning, which isn't that surprising really. I mean, it's very early in the morning, it's very overcast, miserable day, no reason for anyone to be on the road. And as soon as it turns 7 o'clock, the door should open automatically for us. There we go, beautiful. So, there is our pallet selection ready and waiting for us. So you can see we have 4 pallets on this side and another 4 pallets on the back. So 8 pallets of seed and 8 pallets of fertilizer. That should get us through the year nicely. But, you know, if it is a little bit too much, then we can always, you know, come back and get a little bit more. And there is our skid steer with the Xylor on it as well. We'll be coming back to collect that in just a moment. But first things first, let's get our pallet back to the farm. Just taking it nice and easy on that little sharp turn there. I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to driving along this road and just through the town in general. Once autumn hits and these trees start to go orange and brown, it is really going to look something special. They look great when they're green and they've got lots of leaves on there, and we'll start to see these, you know, flowering towards the end of spring. But come the end of the month, Sorry, come the end of summer and into autumn when they start to brown, they're going to look absolutely fantastic. Really does completely transform the landscape. It's one of the things I love about seasons. It's just the way everything just looks. It looks fantastic at various different times of the year. Okay, so just to start off with, we're just going to park this up under here. We're not going to work on this today, or not straight away anyway. So I'm just going to pull it through out of the way. It should fit quite nicely. And I am half tempted to just leave these pallets on here like this, rather than sticking them into a shelter. I haven't quite decided whether or not I'm going to load them up into a building yet. I might just leave them like that. I'll have to have a think about that. Let's park up just here for a second as well, and lights off. I'm going to run back to the store and go collect the skid steer, so I will see you back on the farm with that in just a moment. Okay, so here we are back at the farm with the skid steer, and you can see straight away we've got these trees here in front of us. These are the ones that we're going to be getting rid of, because these are the ones that are stopping us from joining these fields together. So let's get the Xylor switched on. Let's see if we can get these trees to cut down. Might need to actually turn on the help menu for this one, just to make sure I haven't forgotten to enable something. Turn off stump cutter. No, we want that turned on. We don't want the plough enabled, not yet. There we go. And almost done with this first tree. Obviously we're not going to get any wood chips or anything, or any money from these trees. I just want to get rid of them so they're out of the way. Sometimes finding the right spot can be quite tricky. Why won't this one grind out? Come on. Can be a bit temperamental with some of these trees. Works a lot better with the fir trees, but it should work with these as well. There we go. That should be enough. There we go. So sometimes it's just about finding the right angle. So let's do the same with this tree here as well, to get this one ground out. Once again, gotta find the right angle. Let's try it around this side. Right, got rid of the branch. I doing anything at the moment? I don't think I am. I'm running out a bit. Not enough. Oh, there we go. Let's got rid of another chunk. Not the easiest things to drive these. Sometimes they can just end up spinning on the spot. There's a reason why they're called skid steers. Right, so hopefully now I'll be able to grind off the bottom piece of this. Close enough, am I? There's another small piece gone, but it's still leaving us with this stump here, this big piece that I can't seem to get rid of. I'm hoping it's not going to take us too long to get rid of these trees, because there are a few more that I would like to get rid of. But this is, I think, always the balancing act between getting rid of trees for functionality over destroying the aesthetic of the farm. Can be a fine line between getting rid of trees just because you think they might be in the way, and getting rid of trees that actually create a really nice scenic look to your farm. And if you take too many out, you can end up with just a very sterile looking area. It's nice to keep some character in the farm. Why won't this stump cut? Right. We've got a good angle here. Hopefully this will get rid of some more. There we go, it's another piece gone. A little bit more. Looks like we're on a winner. A little bit left. There we go, finally got rid of that piece there. So let's turn the hell window back off again. Let's take a look around, see if there's any other trees we need to get rid of. That one there we can keep because there's a big rock there, so we're going to have to avoid that anyway. Let's take a look over here. What about some of these trees? Could we maybe get rid of these? I think we can. Yeah, I think there's no reason why we couldn't get rid of these trees and add a bit more width to this piece of land here. So let's do the same again. These ones again, likely to prove very tricky to get rid of. In fact, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky, and I'm just, to save going all the way back to the store, I'm going to buy a chainsaw direct, like this. I'm going to cut these trees down, and then they should be much, much quicker and easier to grind up. And the stumps will certainly be a lot easier to grind as well. There's that one. And that one. And this one, and then the one behind us as well. I think that'll be all we'll need to trim off this field. we'll have a little tour around again once we're done with these 4 trees, just to make sure there aren't any more that we need to get rid of on this particular field. And we'll also check the other fields that we plan on combining as well. You know, if we have this, we may as well use it now while we have it, rather than have to pay out quite high leasing costs to get it back again. There goes the whole tree, really quick and easily. I'm just going to get the stump out. Which is always tricky with these types of trees. There we go, there goes the stump. There goes the tree, literally just bumped it and that was it, gone instantly. I think might need to be on the other side of it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So obviously, if we were, you know, really concerned about finances, then we could obviously be either chopping up and delimbing these trees to sell as wood, or grinding them up for wood chips. And then either selling or storing for later in the year, but we're doing that already on Seasons in the Valley, and I don't want this to be like a carbon copy playlist. I want there to be differences between our farms, so that's why I'm just getting rid of these trees straight away. Not worried about the wood chips on them at all. But there we go, now we have a nice extendable area that we can really work with on the side of this field, which is good. I am actually going to get rid of this tree here as well, just because it's right up against the edge here, and it's a little bit awkward. We do still have some other trees in the area, so these ones much thinner trees, so they're easier to just grind out instantly like that. Just got a little bit of stump left, as you can see. There we go, there goes the stump. That tree is absolutely fine, we'll leave that one alone. Not going to touch anything else over there. As we've already discussed, that one there is going to be ignored because there's a rock there anyway, so we'd have to kind of avoid that area. Let's check down the other end of the field, see if there's anything down here that we need to get rid of. Of course, in the future, when we buy this field, we can combine them across this gap here as well. So in the future, maybe that tree will need to go, and some of these bushes perhaps, but we don't have that issue right now, so we'll leave that area alone. Let's check over here with fields 77 and 76. That tree there's fine, that one there's fine. These are all okay. I'm happy with those trees being there on the side of the road. Absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. Let's check over here. It's a little tight in that corner, but again, I'm happy with those trees being there. Happy with that tree being there because we've got these bushes here. Don't think we can get rid of those bushes. I think that's I think they're solid placeables. And then over here, it's a nice straightforward joining just along here, so I'm going to worry about that. Any more trees maybe down the other end of 76 that we need to look at? Probably not. Let's actually use our dirt path here. What is that? A little bit of crop randomly just there. Have to do something about that, I think. Might need to lease a roller just to plough that and then return it back to normal again. That tree there is absolutely fine. Obviously we are going to be working on combining these fields. You see there is that tree there by the pond. I might get rid of that tree. These ones along this border here, they're fine. I'm not worried about those. Let's check out this one here. And yeah, that is kind of an awkwardly placed tree, so I am going to cut this one down. Can I grind this one out? No, so not easily. So I'm just going to save time and effort and just chop it with a chainsaw. Looks like we might only have time to work one set of fields today, but when we have 3 days just in early part of the month this time round, so anything we don't get done today we can always get done tomorrow, and we're still in early spring. That's the benefit of a 9-day season. There we go, so that's that tree removed. Obviously we've got the pond, I can't really do anything about the pond. But I can extend this field sort of around here. I could go around the other side of the pond and then around that, but I think I'll run up to here. This tree... I think I'll leave that one there. I kind of like the fact that we have trees either side of the road just there. So that's that pretty much covered. Now let's check if I can get up here. It's steep. Very steep, not really supposed to drive up that, I think. Let's check around here, around the animal enclosure, which I probably shouldn't have come up here. Yeah, let's Geronimo it down there. There's no trees in the middle of that field that need to be worried about. Let's see, there's telegraph poles, but yeah, again, we can't really do anything about that. Trees along the edge there, they're absolutely fine. As again, we've got rocks alongside the path here, so those trees, there's no point cutting those down. That tree, I think, is actually inside the animal paddock, as is that one there. Yes, they are. They're the other side of the fence, as you can see. This tree here on this corner here, though, this one is going to be a problem tree, so this one is going to get cut because it's right on the edge of the field. Look. This is going to make it pretty awkward in an area where it's already pretty tight for turning space. Again, it's not going to let me grind that one out nice and quickly, so we'll chainsaw this one. I wonder if you can lease chainsaws, actually. I probably should have just leased it. Never even thought to try leasing a chainsaw, because they're only 1,000, so they're not that expensive. But I didn't even consider the possibility of leasing a chainsaw until just now. Right, and that's it. That's the end of our sort of area of fields that are going to be combined. So, yeah, I'm happy with the trees that we've removed. I think we've done what we needed to do. So, looks like the skid steer is going back to the store. I'm going to park it here for now, and we'll take that back at the end of the day. But first things first, we need to get the Fortis back out again and our plough back out again. I'm going to put the AgroStar away because we are done with that for a little while. So we'll just jump in, get this parked up. There we go. Oh, I've opened up the wrong shed door, look. I've opened up the fertiliser door and not the plough door. There we go. So we'll start with the fields that we did at the beginning. So fields 70 and 78. So once again, I'm going to do my border trick first of all. And you can see that the field kind of kinks a little bit as it follows that kink in the field. I'm actually going to bring the field, out just a touch more on this side, I think, just so it matches up with this a little bit better. But I want to put the border in, make sure that we don't have any crop that's lurking off the side of the field where it shouldn't be. Let's close that mini-map down. Put some lights on as well because it's still really miserable. Even though it's 9 in the morning, it's still really grey and overcast. This is the Wales mod, so it is just very wet and miserable for quite a lot of the day. Obviously the sun is going to come out at some point, we can see that on the radar, but it's a question of how long it's going to be before that happens. There's no indication that this rain's going to end anytime soon. It's still horribly overcast. It's still absolutely chucking it down. And then as we get to the end here of this this part of the field, we will join it with the next one. And we'll create the border around the other field, and then we'll start to extend field 70 to match in with 78 here. So you can see we've got a little bit of an instep that we need to make because of this rock. Nothing over the top, but just a touch, like that. And then obviously in the future when we combine, we'll have a little area of grass, a little ring of grass around that area, so that we don't try and plant right up against the rock and ruin our combine header in the process, or our seeders for that matter. So everything's looking pretty good with this field. It doesn't look like we're going to have any crop issues growing where it shouldn't be. It looks all pretty neat and contained so far. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here now is where I'm going to start to redraw this field boundary. So let's turn create fields back on again, and I'm going to kind of follow the path up like this. Okay, so that's my line to join up there. Now I do want to maybe extend this bit of the field just a touch. Maybe bringing out an extra furrow or two. So I've got my tractor lined up. Let's drop the plough again. Let's hold this line along here. I'll do this all the way along here until we get to this edge here. And I'm going to sweep this round a little bit more severely. There we go. And there we go, there's our extended section of that field. It kind of follows the path, cuts into some of that really wide section of path where we don't really need it anymore, and where those trees were as well. And now we can start ripping up the rest of this ground and getting this done. So I'm going to rip up this section. And keep ploughing through, and every time I get to the original field 78, which is just coming up in front of us, I'm going to turn off the create ploughs like that, and now I can just run in a straight line, and if I accidentally go over the edge of the field, it doesn't matter because I won't churn up the ground where I'm not supposed to. So I'm going to carry on doing this and plough out all of this section here, and when we're done we will hopefully do a little bit of seeding here, or if not, we'll certainly look at maybe moving on to another field and combining those as well. So I will catch you in a moment. So we are almost done with this field, and we've still got plenty of time left in the day. It's not even midday yet, so we can certainly get another field combined before we have to break off and plant on this field. We've got plenty of time available to us. So what we'll do is, once we've finished this ploughing, we'll plough together 77 and 76, turn that into a single field. And then tomorrow we'll attack fields 68 and 69. We're going to have to create on 69 because that is currently grass, so we'll have to rip all that up, create a new field boundary. Oops, got to do this little bit of grass here. There we go. Turn the control of the create fields back off again. So yeah, 69 we'll need to actually create a field on and then link it into 68 in a pretty natural looking way, hopefully. And then we'll need to do the same with 60, 61 and 62. 60 is a grass field currently as well, so that's going to need to have a custom field ploughed into it and then joined up with 61 and 62 to make a nice big crop field there as well. There we go, that's this field pretty much done now. Just got this last little bit here. Can we get it all? Yes we can, excellent. Alright, so that's the first of our crop fields done and prepped. We still need to obviously plant on that, but that'll come later. So now I'm going to start work on this field here. Now this one, I'm expecting a little bit of trouble on the border with crop growing outside of the field or not being ploughed up as we go over it with the plough. So hopefully that won't be the case, but if it is, we'll do what we did before. We'll just work a new edge just to catch whatever's not been caught, and then once the whole border's been done and the fields are linked, we'll make sure that everything is ploughed and joined nicely. And that was where I was expecting some trouble, and that's all gone through nice and smoothly. So that's quite promising actually. That was where I was expecting there to be some trouble, and there hasn't been any at all. That's reassuring to see. Gives me hope for this section here. So I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to go to this part of the field and again do my run around the border, make sure that the whole field is done. And yeah, there we go. I had a feeling we were going to get caught somewhere on this field with a bit of crop that wasn't being removed. So let's create fields. Just tag that bit, remove the create fields again. to the edge. Excellent. Now this side. And once we've done this, we'll actually start linking the field into the next one there. And then we'll start running up and down with the plough. Oh, yep, there we go. A little patch along there. Straighten that line out just a touch. And then keep the create fields on while we run down here, just to make sure that we get everything. And also so I can run directly into the next field as well. At the join point just here. There we go. Beautiful. Right, so turn create fields off again. And now I can run up and down this field. And then on the other side, when we do that side, that's when we'll link up there and we'll get everything ploughed together quite nicely. So I'm going to carry on working this field, and again I'll catch up with you once we've kind of finished this field off. Yeah, and the sun is coming out. So the rain has just stopped. It's been raining since a little after 6 o'clock this morning, so it's been raining for over 5.5 hours. But now finally we have some blue skies starting to return to the map. I can actually turn my working lights off now. There we go. It starts to brighten up. And you can already see the sun starting to shine through from that side over there, giving us some really nice lighting effects on the side of our vehicle. You can see around the base of these telegraph poles we've got a few little bits of crop that are still sticking through. We're going to have to kind of tidy those up. There's a little bit there on that one there as well, and I'm expecting there to be some on this one. But we've almost done this section completely here. This is the last kind of strip of the joining, like that. There we go. So all that remains now is just the small section of that field there, and then this is done, and now we can then move on and start planting some stuff. Get our first couple of crops in the ground. And then, as I say, day 3 we'll be able to work on that section there. You can see that's a big expanse of grass just there that we've got to work on and create a field on. That's going to take quite a bit of time. And then on the other side of that road you can see the yellow patch there. That is fields, what field number is that? That's field 61, and then field 60 is the patch of grass next to that. And again, that's a big expanse of grass that we're going to need to make a custom field on. So those two are going to take quite some time to get done, so I would like to make sure that I've at least got some crop in the ground straight away. I'm also hoping that by staggering our crop slightly, it means that if we do get hit with bad weather, you know, if our crops are growing at a slightly staggered rate, they'll be ready to harvest at a slightly staggered rate, which means we are not, you know, potentially not going to find ourselves in the situation where everything's ready at the same time. We get hit with bad weather and then we have no time left to harvest everything, and we end up losing something. You know, this will hopefully help alleviate some of that potential pressure by getting our crops coming to full fruit in stages, so we can work on 1 or 2 fields, get those done, get them harvested and stored away while we're waiting for the rest to finish growing. And then, as I say, if we are hit with bad weather and we end up with a bit of a rush at the end of the season, then it's not all of our fields, it's only a couple of fields that will be affected. That's kind of the theory behind my staggered planting here. Of course, the best laid plans of mice and men and so on and so forth, it may well be that our early planting is completely derailed by early bad weather. So we may end up with having everything ready at the same time anyway. And if this early planting is only by a day or so, that it's going to be a major issue. So it may well be that it has no real impact on the way our crops grow. We'll just have to see how that goes. Yeah, once we get to autumn, I suppose, or the end of summer, when our crops start coming through. And like I say, I am hopeful that it will help alleviate a little bit of pressure. And as predicted, you could just see there's a little bit of crop sticking through on the edge of that grass bank just there, look. So again, we are going to have to tidy these edges up just a touch. I am going to need to get a roller as well. Just run around here like that. Catch that little piece that's just there. There was that little tiny speck that was on the side of the field over there. You can't really see it, but I did actually just plunge the plough into the ground just on a brief little spot to get rid of that bit that we spotted in the middle of the grass. And I did also make a slight mistake when we were working on 70 and 78. I accidentally forgot to turn off create fields and tore into the end near the pathway at the end of one of the fields, so that needs to be rolled back just a touch as well. So a little bit of tidying up needing to be done with our field borders and removing a couple of little bits done in error, but that shouldn't take too long. We'll just lease a roller rather than buying one, because we're not going to need one long term. I don't think it's going to be much easier to just lease it. Although, having said that, if we buy it and use it, and we only use it for a few minutes, we could theoretically get our full money back for it. I think we get it full return value if we use it within and return it within the first half an hour. So I might just buy it and then just get a full refund instead, rather than paying leasing costs. That is a little bit cheeky. Kind of taking advantage of the system a little bit. I don't know if I really want to do that. I'll think about it while I'm finishing this field off. So as you can see, I have moved my planters into this empty shed. Decided this would be a better place for them. They fit better in there. So let's top up our seed levels. If I can get close enough, there we go. And we're going to start off with some wheat. Now what I've done is I've gone round with the roller, as you saw, and cleaned up those little errors. I did actually lease it in the end. I thought it was a bit cheeky to do it without actually paying for it. Oops. So it was leased, it's been returned to the store, hasn't been actually physically returned in terms of actually sending it back, but it's parked up in the return box at the store. And then we'll return it later when we return the Xylor and the skid steer. So first things first, I want to get some wheat into this field. We're going to put barley into the other field, and then we're going to put canola onto one of the two fields that we'll be creating in the next day or two, and the other field we'll be putting some soybean on that one. So we'll have a nice little sort of selection of crops available to us. And then the field down the bottom, field 86, I'm actually going to use our other planter for, and we're going to put some sunflower, I think, on that one. So something a little bit different. We might go corn, but we'll probably go sunflower. So let's get our wheat on the field. And this is the first of our actual crops being planted, because technically the grass doesn't really count. So we've made pretty quick work of this field here, as you can see. Still got plenty of seed left in the tank. So there we go, there is our wheat field. This will be very, very good for us for straw, once the straw is grown. And I'm going to put barley on this field here as well. So between this field and this one, we're going to have a lot of hay, a lot of straw bales that we'll be able to make at the end of the harvest. Just need to tag that little bit on the edge of the field there. There we go. So let's raise and turn off. This is a very strange shaped field here. It's going to be a little bit weird to work, so I think I'm just going to kind of follow the border for a lot of this field and keep working sort of in concentric kind of rings around it. Let's change the barley. There we go. Lower the seeder, turn it on. Let's just try and make my way around the edge here. So it's going to look a little bit weird with seed showing out in different directions. This is one of the things I think that Real Farm did very, very well, was the fact that if I was driving at this angle, the seed would be put out at that angle. If I make a turn, you wouldn't get these 45-degree angles like that in the texture. You would just get a smooth flowing texture. Really, really nice. And I really hope that that's something that Giants is able to incorporate into Farming Sim 19, because it really does look so nice and a lot more realistic when you see that. And it's just, I think one of the things that does let this game down a little bit is these just 45-degree textures, you know, and it's not, you know, dynamic ground, so you don't see actual depth in the furrows. This is just paint, and it does a very convincing job from most angles, but you get to other angles and you can see that it is just completely flat. And it would be nice to be able to actually see some real sort of field and texture improvements in the next installment, you know, later this year. We're expecting October as the kind of mooted date for Farming Sim 19, and that's simply just going on previous release histories. Farming Sim 15 and Farming Sim 17 were both released around that time of their respective years, and you know, the new game is released, you know, the new full version game is released 2 years after the previous one, so we're looking at, you know, October this year for Farming Sim 19. But you can see just how problematic this one's going to be in terms of just going up and down with the seeder, which is why I'm kind of just following the border a little bit more and still running into the odd issue here and there where I'm going a little bit too far away from it. So I'm going to carry on seeding around this field. I suppose this is a more realistic way of seeding. This is how they would seed in real life, sort of running around the farm or running around the field like this, with a GPS route kind of programmed into their tractor. Obviously it's a little bit different with a field that's kind of a little bit small compared to real life, but same kind of principle. So yeah, I'll finish this field off, and then that's probably going to be it for the rest of the day. We'll just have to return our equipment and start all over again with the next set of fields tomorrow. So I'll catch up with you in a little while. This has been quite an awkward field to get done, but it is now just about done. with the weird shape and those overhead cables, you know, those phone cables, you know, potentially getting in the way. It's been a chore planting this field here. Lots and lots of thin little strips like this that I've had to go back and just tag the edges off, and it's really hard to see as well with the trees casting those shadows. It's really quite tricky to see if you have actually made a mistake and left a very thin line between the crop. You can see with the way the shadows are dancing across the field like that, it's almost impossible to see if you have made just this little patch. And when it's so thin like that, it doesn't really show up on the map. It's not until you start growing that you do start to spot those mistakes. So hopefully I've tagged everywhere on this field. But there we go, that's the barley done. So we have wheat and barley in the ground now. First of our custom fields have been created and ploughed and seeded. So we need to clean our equipment off and get it put away for the night, but we also need to return this skid steer. I don't want to pay any more loan costs overnight. We've cut down all the trees that we need to do, so this can go back. Let's turn the lights off. Can't believe I left those lights on. Should by rights have a flat battery by now, but yeah, this needs to go back so we can get it off our sort of budget sheet. Otherwise, I say, we will incur overnight costs again, which I really don't want. We only used it for what, 0.3 of an hour, so that's what, 18 minutes, not very long at all. But in those 18 minutes we did manage to get rid of all of those trees that were causing us problems, grind them out completely, stumps as well. And we could have used this for ploughing. I mean, this does have that create plough option, but I prefer the tractor for that. It's a little bit more precise, it's a little bit slower, so it's easier to control, and it doesn't turn ridiculously sharply like that as well, so the slightest little input on your steering can send you way off course, which can cause all sorts of issues when you're trying to be precise creating a field edge. So maybe in the future we might use the plough option on one of these if we do ever end up owning one, but for now I think we'll just stick to using our plough for creating fields. So I'm going to get this sent back to the store, return all the equipment and the roller that's there ready and waiting, and then we'll get the equipment cleaned, put away, and we'll turn in for the night. So thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another episode of Deutz Fahrm very soon.